We're in Kentucky for what has become the annual kickoff to deer season. Yeah, I rolled up on Friday, came in and it was typical Kentucky. It was 80s, high 80s, and it's like, yeah, but the weather showed it was gonna drop, and literally within hours of getting here, get a rainstorm and it's in the 70s, and it doesn't get any hotter for a couple of days, and that is just not typical opening season Kentucky weather. It just isn't. Fourth day, and then we go get set up, get still, and here comes a spike. So the spike walks in, he comes in, he gets settled, he's calm, he doesn't even know we're there. And then, but the next deer I see is a small 8-point that's walking from right down below me, and I'm like, hope it doesn't catch my wind. And then I hear crunching, and I look down, and that's when I lost my breath. Like, I just couldn't breathe, heart starts pumping. It's just antlers. Same thing, it's probably, when it came through in front of me, down below me, probably less than 10 yards, on its path to get up into the field. And I'm telling myself the entire time, breathing, breathing, control your breathing, calm down. And I did a pretty good job of getting drawn. I mean, I don't think the deer even knew. Super quiet, didn't make any stupid noises, any adverse movements. And I got it up, and I got, Garmin 0, I got the sight, I got it ranged, I got the red dot, and then it all went to shit.
We're with the Whitetail Diaries crew, just outside of Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, for what has become an annual tradition, the opening week of archery season.
For me, Kentucky has become the beginning of hunting season, and for decades, I started my hunting season in Texas shooting doves. I mean, that was just what I did, and really even go back to Oklahoma as a kid, that's what we did. But through searching, I always wanted to hunt whitetail deer and velvet, and I struggled to find a good option or an opportunity to be able to do that. But thankfully through Cabela's back in the day, they had an outfitting service that hooked me up with Salt River Outfitters, and now it's become Worldwide Trophy Adventures run by Mark Peterson and a great staff. They're part of the Salt River family, and it's just kind of grown from there.
Some 8 years into this adventure, and the crew has done it every which way. From the lodge, hanging with friends, to crashing in trailers and pitching tents. This year, base camp is set up in a rented house. With the crew getting older, creature comforts before and after the hunt begin to matter. Yamaha's Steve Nessel is the last to arrive.
I mean, Kentucky is the first opening day in the country, but the Whitetail Diaries crew has made it a tradition of their own to come up here for a variety of reasons. One, first chance to get in front of some deer, get some deer in front of you. But there's a lot of sponsor partner things to be thinking about. New products are coming to market, and we take that opportunity to create a lot of content, do a lot of education, a lot of in the field familiarization and things like that. We have an all new R-Max that we're launching for Yamaha this year. So there's always reason to come up here. Sometimes we have more work to do on top of the hunting, but that's okay, because it's what we're out here in the first place to do.
Kicking off another season, it's the prep work and gear choices that matter.
As we get into Kentucky, it's always fun every year to get over here, get things set up. We were hanging and rehanging and moving stands and adjusting cameras. We had scouting cameras out all over the place. It's a constant team effort of talking and planning to get it all dialed in to determine where you're gonna sit. And if it's even gonna work, is the deer even gonna show up? You might see nothing some nights.
With the initial work behind them, back at the house, all that's left is to dial in the bows.
We're all shooting basically the exact bow. I mean, NV32 Blackout from Bass Pro Shops. We all got the same sight basically. I mean, our arrows are all a little bit different, so it's just fun to sit out here and shoot, whether it's before the hunt, when we first get here, regardless of what's going on, and watch the arrows thump the target.
All right, Scott, what do we got going on?
I just set up new profile for this new SX3 Hunter arrow, and took about 15 minutes total. Stood at 16 yards, dialed that in with the bullseye, came out to 40 yards, dialed it in with the bullseye, and that's got me range now all the way up to 76 yards. Not that I'd ever take a shot that far, but still, when I'm shooting at 25 yards that I'm comfortable with, and I know that I'm at least good out to 40, just hitting bullseyes, then that brings all the more confidence into hunting tomorrow, and all the easier to set up a new profile and make more arrows and shoot more stuff.
For all the details on the Bass Pro Blackout bow, scan the QR code. Coming up, we'll get out in the field for the first hunt of the season, right here on the Yamaha Whitetail Diaries. Back on this adventure of the Yamaha's Whitetail Diaries, Wade, Kevin, and the crew made the 1,100-mile, 17-hour drive from San Antonio to Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. It's early September, the opening week of deer season. Once camp is set, the first days are spent putting up stands, brushing in ground blinds, and rigging out the side-by-sides with an accoutrement of genuine Yamaha accessories. And then the fun begins. Firing up the Cabela's grill, Reynolds has breakfast duties. The fridge is a bit light, so eggs over hard and some leftover breakfast sausage get the day started. Then it's time to stock up on supplies.
Are you gonna check them? One's in there. I can't buy eggs and not
People
check
not
them.
trust
People
anybody.
manhandle eggs.
Look, touch them all, make sure. All right.
Are we trying to be healthy in the butter, or are we just trying to get butter?
I just get butter. It's an eclectic mix. Again, I'm not trying to judge it all, but you know, they have their sweet tooth. They have the other things that kind of fill in between. I just question what they're actually going to eat compared to what's in there, because there is some healthy stuff, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to skew more towards the junk food. We'll see. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but I at least got my food already, so I know that I'm good.
Back at camp with all the prep work in the rear view, it's time to unload the RMAX and get in the field.
Game plan for today is just get up in the tree, sit there, and kind of wait to see what happens. We're going to be driving the 2025 RMAX 2 1000 XTR edition and have a lot of brand new features that we get to really test out here. Not only when it comes to the all-new turf mode that we have on the on-command four-wheel drive system, but new front and rear differentials, new suspension settings to it, all new Adventure Pro on it, and going to be a great experience overall. And yeah, can't wait to get these things out there on the trail as well and get me up in the tree.
Back for his fourth, or maybe fifth season, Scott is in familiar territory.
Okay, so it's opening day in Kentucky, and going to the same, well now, hayfield that I've gone to the past couple of years here, and always see something, never get skunked at all, which is great. And even though that they got a lot going on between farmers and all that good stuff, like I just want to make sure that I got 0 scent, at least spraying down as much as I possibly can. But we're just gonna sit for a while. I mean, actually, weather's pretty darn decent. As you can see, you got a little bit of a breeze going too, which will be nice, because ideally can get away with a little bit of movement, especially if I get to draw on something. But had a cell cam up, been seeing a lot of stuff moving through here, and it's about 4:30 now. We're gonna walk in, give it a sit, and see what we can do.
You know, and looking at where everybody else is hunting, you know, Scott set up and you know, the bird whistle, aka Scott Newby Bottom, because he's had great success there. When he first, you know, some of his first hunts there is really unique deer. We all started calling him Hook, was in. He shot his first big velvet buck in this bottom. I mean, he's I don't know how many times he and Kevin have set in this bottom. Well, you know, we get his stand set up. We've got a stealth cam on it, and I mean, I don't know how many freaking deer are coming into this area. But you got to get them in daylight, and it's nighttime, 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 nighttime pictures nonstop.
I mean, there was so much traffic that was moving through that entire stand. I mean, all throughout the night, you would see nonstop does and bucks. I mean, nothing that was really massive, but just that constant traffic coming through all the time. We just knew that no matter what, something had to be walking through. First night we climbed up there and had a great stand, a great view, but just had a doe that came out and then 2 smaller bucks. And I think that one buck too, like he must have been a descendant of Hook, because the way that he was looking, standing, he had that real tall, narrow rack to him. It looked like he could have been in the genes there, but Obviously still too small at that point, and then the doe just ended up blowing at us and they took off, but they even came out really late. I think we got in the stand around 4 o'clock and didn't even see anything until about 8 o'clock. So it was a very long sit, and with that in mind, and also knowing how much traffic was going through there, I mean, whether it was all the deer, even some raccoons as well, we want to make sure that when we came in the second day, we got in early. We're going to put down some golden nuggets just to really make sure that they had a food source to be able to come to again. So
We'll see. We'll get back here for round 2.
Back in Kentucky, we're just outside of Lawrenceburg and in the field for the first of a 4-day hunt with Yamaha's Steve Nessel. He's heading out in the all-new Yamaha RMAX 4 1000.
We're big pimping in the new RMAX. A lot of creature comfort stuff like dial in your suspension, dial in your power steering, and you know, on the limited edition model, it's got a backup kick. Again, Mr. Newbie does a walkthrough and gets all that stuff, but they're really, really cool and they're built to last. All right, we're about a couple hundred yards from the stand. It's a bit of a hill we came up. I didn't really believe them when they told me to be climbing a mountain, but at any rate, it's cool. It's normally like 90 degrees and we're sweating, you know what, but we had a cold front. The weather just shifted. I mean, it was not even that hot, high 80s. We've been hunting almost in triple digits, but rain last night, cold front, it's like 70 something right now. It's far cooler, the coolest I've ever hunted Kentucky early season. So why do I tell you all that? We don't know what the deer are gonna do. Like, they had some pattern, but they're coming out of velvet, cold front. Only way to find out is to go up and get set up, get settled, get quiet, wait for something to come in. Realistically, it wasn't very long before we saw deer. We had a doe and a couple fawns. We had a small little dink. We had an 8-point. We were seeing deer, nowhere near a shooter. So, good sit. I mean, first night out, I'm not complaining. I'm just glad to be out, glad to be in the stand, glad to be in Kentucky, glad to be in camp, hanging out with friends. I'm not worried about anything. Get down, go back, look at cameras, make a game plan for the next day, and we'll get after it. It's fine. Everything's going pretty much as planned.
Some 30 minutes to the east, Wade Middleton is hunting the edge of a soybean patch.
What a cool little setup. You know, day one of our bow hunt here, Gentry was with me. We hiked across this big soybean field, got up in a tree that kind of comes out of what's a big bedding area, a big draw that the deer are bedding in. They come up through they get into these soybeans to feed, and we had a little, typical Kentucky corn pile. But we had a north wind, and those deer, where they were trying to come out of that bedding area, the way that wind was kind of blowing, it was blowing right to where they obviously bedded, and it just didn't work. That's part of hunting. When you hunt a place with a different wind, different situation, different conditions, sometimes it's going to work out, sometimes it's not. Today it didn't.
When confidence in your equipment matters, Blackout Archery is the go-to brand. Scan this QR code and search through Blackout Archery's complete line of gear, stands, and blinds. Back in Kentucky for this episode of the Yamaha Whitetail Diaries, we're in the field on the first of a 4-day hunt. We're also here to put some gear to the test, and that includes the all-new Yamaha RMAX 4 1000.
Hi everyone, Scott Newby here with Yamaha Motorsports, and I'm here to talk to you today about some of the key models that we have in the 2025 model year lineup, including the all-new Wolverine RMAX 4 1000. So let's go check them out. Now, one of the biggest things you're going to notice here on the all-new Wolverine RMAX 4 1000 is a full-size rear cabin to it. So you have the full doors, very ergonomically friendly for the passengers in the back. Even has their nice, comfortable handholds for them as well, so that they have that good, secure feeling when they're out there in the off-road family ventures. But on top of that, there's plenty of storage back here. In the center console, you have over 6 gallons of storage. So imagine that home improvement bucket that's 5 gallons, and add a gallon of milk on top of that. That's all the storage you have in the bag. There's even a USB charger in it, and even a light so you can see all the way down to the bottom. There's additional center console storage as well as cup holders, but the nice thing about that too is that you have the adjustable seat belts in the rear, and again, just plenty of space overall.
One of the other great things about the all-new RMAX 41000 is you have a full-size rear dump bed for expanded home utility use, and that dump bed also allows you a lot of great access to the rear. One of the other great enhancements to the 2025 RMAX 1000 lineup is all-new Fox suspension settings, just to make sure you have a smooth, comfortable ride in a variety of different terrains and speeds. Now let's move to the front of the vehicle to talk about other great features there. One huge all-new feature on the RMAX 1000 lineup is our turf mode that's available in our on-command four-wheel drive system. In addition to that, we have new front and rear differentials that provides faster engagement and disengagement when you're out on the trail. And then for our limited models, we have a TFT meter that's up here on the steering wheel. This provides additional vehicle readouts as well as customization. With the RMAX 1000 lineup, we have our D-mode switch that really just matches driver mindset. And that comes in 3 different settings: crawl, trail, and sport. Crawl is for really technical rock crawling situations or just kind of slow driving out on the trail. And then with trail, you have that one-to-one driver input just for your general overall riding. Now with sport, that gives that engine power to where you're going to open up the throttle valve a lot faster, which means you're just going to speed up all the quicker. The great thing about all 3 settings is that you still have full engine power all the way throughout, so you're not limiting any capacity of the vehicle. Another all-new feature for the RMAX 1000 lineup is our new electric power steering, or EPS system. You have 3 different modes. There's a high that provides full assist, a standard that has our same one-to-one input on it, and then a low that has even less assist from the electric power steering system. And with that, it really just matches your select preference that you like to drive with, whether it's more input or less input for the electric power steering system. On top of that, when you switch the on-command into four-wheel drive full diff lock, it gives full power and assist, so you have less driver fatigue overall. And of course, with the Yamaha's electric power steering system, it's still speed and torque sensitive, which means you just have a great trail ride overall, no matter what kind of terrain or no matter what kind of speed that you're going in. Now moving on, with the limited models, we still have our IQS Fox suspension, or the intelligent quick switch, that's all controlled by the rocker switch that's in the center console. That starts with comfort setting, and then in the middle, you go to medium, and then lastly, you have a full firm suspension when you're toggled all the way down to the bottom. Right above that is our all-new Adventure Pro system, which again gives even more vehicle readout options when it comes to the vehicle overall. You can see your IQS suspension setting, you can see your on-command setting, even your selectable EPS four-wheel drive system setting as well. Another cool thing about our Adventure Pro system, it still comes preloaded with all different maps all across the US for any public trails, or even if you want to upload more, you can do that. Another new great feature for the Adventure Pro system is that it's Bluetooth enabled, so you can connect your phone to it, you can receive different notifications up there on the screen, but on top of that, it's all integrated with our all-new MTX audio system that's in the front as well as on the rear cabin in our limited models. On the limited models for the RMAX 1000s is it comes with a rear view camera. So when you put the vehicle in reverse, the rear view camera automatically pops up. You can really see the trail behind you. We even wanted to make sure too that when the camera is in reverse, you can see your tires. That way it's not just for backing up, but also full off-road capability to where if you do have a rock or something behind you, you make sure that your tires are going around safely and you don't have to worry about anything that's behind you. You can also select it from the Adventure Pro system too if you just want to see what's behind you. We're out there riding down the trail. Now all the great features and benefits we just talked about on the all-new RMAX 41000 carries over to the RMAX 2000 as well as the RMAX 41000 Compact. With the XDR edition like you see here, you're not going to get the rear view camera on it, but it can be easily added by simply plugging it in. The XDR editions do come with our beadlock wheels for that full off-road capability as well as peace of mind when we're out there on the trail. In addition to that, any of our Yamaha Junior parts and accessories, we all design, test, and develop those from our guys down in Marietta, Georgia, and it just makes sure that you have the perfect fit, finish, and durability like you'd expect out of our proven off-road vehicles. Now real quick, I want to talk about our Grizzly ATV, which has been our best-selling big bore recreational ATV that we've had for a while now, because it has an all-new EPS or electric power steering setting on it. And the nice thing about that is just lighter steering for your overall, which means when you're out there on those all-day trail rides, that's less driver fatigue when you're out there having some fun. But if you want to learn more about the all-new RMAX 4000, in addition to all of our proven off-road ATVs and side-by-sides that are proudly assembled in the USA at our factory in Noonan, Georgia, you can visit your local Yamaha dealer or visit us online at yamahamotorsports.com.
Join us next week when the Yamaha Whitetail Diaries gets back in the field for day 2. We'll check in with Scott, Steve, and Wade on their hunts, and then we'll spend a minute and show you how easy it is to upgrade and customize your RMAX with Yamaha's complete line of genuine parts and accessories. Keep up with the Yamaha Whitetail Diaries on social media. We're pretty easy to find. And remember, for the very best in gear, electronics, and more, Bass Pro and Cabela's have you covered.